Mata mi kura mtona no pe manya 50 cedis a embotom.
When 50 cedis.
Manya 50 cedis a embotom.
When na dema o.
LPV. Wonya mu na woska.
Omo tchane wo enfa.
Wo mu tchane wo kuroma. E ma ma ni me. Eyi ma wo kuroma nyina obi agidi. Yenya nte wo bu ba wano na be nie. Ye be yi bia mo ye bia bi. Etu si ye wo mra tie wo man mu a ye ni adwuma ye. Ye wo mu a ye wi school. E ma ba wa ni mra tie pepepe. Ye di na mo bia ni kapre. Endeka na ha. Ku sori a adidie kura no. Why you lucky now be di mprenu. Dako. Why you lucky?
Well, except there of what has been happening in the last few hours within the Kumawu constituency of the Ashanti region, where a by-election is underway. Of course, 4 candidates slugging it out for that parliamentary seat, which became vacant after Philip Bazoa unfortunately passed on. We can now bring in some of my colleagues who've been monitoring the election, which is underway there. Nana Bwachi Yadom is joining us via Zoom, and we have Nile Jima also joining us on Zoom for more on this. We'll get a lot more from some other colleagues who've been monitoring developments at some polling stations where accusations of vote buying has been made as to how true these claims are. Let's find out from our reporters then. Let's start off with Nana Jima. You've been to a number of the polling centers where elections are underway. What can you report from where you are?
I'm at Papaso number 1 polling station, where we're expecting a little over 550 electorates to come here to cast their ballots. Just before coming on air, I did my check, and we've had about 252 electorates coming in, going through the process and casting their ballots here at the Papaso number 1 polling station. And I've visited some of the polling stations within the Kumawu township where I am presently, and I can report that in almost all the 11 polling stations within the Kumawu town itself, we've had a little over 50% voter turnout. So as since we have at least 2 more hours to end today's by-election, or for the whole of the process to end, there is expectation that a number of the people who have registered to cast their ballots will come in and do the needful, so that by 5 p.m. we'll have the EC close the election for ballots to be counted. So far, it's been very calm within the Kumawu and the Papaso communities. Just that in some of these polling stations, there have been a little bit of misunderstanding. For instance, where I am presently, that's the Papaso number 1 polling station. You can see a number of security personnel all over, policemen all over. If I should do a head count now, I can count at least 10 policemen here at the Papaso number 1 polling station. And the reason is simple. A few minutes ago, there were some disturbances. The people here at Papaso number 1, which is believed to be the stronghold of the independent candidate, Kwakudria 1. There were some people who the people suspect for the NPP. They came in, and allegedly they were trying to induce some people with money, and that's according to the people here, the residents here. And this didn't go down well with the residents. So it's sparked some misunderstanding here, and immediately the police were called in, and a patrol vehicle of the police came in here to restore calm at the Papaso number 1 police station. They left behind some reinforcement. That is why now we are counting more than 10 policemen here on the ground, just at Papaso electoral area. The other polling stations have policemen dotted across these polling stations, and these policemen, some of them are in uniform, and I'm learning that there are some plainclothes policemen also on the ground. In every polling station that I've visited here today, I can count not less than 4 policemen stationed there. So generally, the atmosphere here, the Kumawu and Papaso communities have been very calm.
Generally, the description from observers, as we understand, is that this has been a calm atmosphere. How come this incident is happening at the Papaso number 1? And just as you pointed out, we're not fully vexed with the matters there. But what do you suspect might be accounting for this?
Who retreated. The police have been calm. The one thing that is common within all the police stations that I've visited are allegations of vote buying. So the people who are not in favor or who do not see vote buying as something that should be promoted within the constituency, they are very, very, very angry about it, and they will go every length to stop anybody who they suspect to be inducing some of these electorates. That is what went down here at Papaso. Papaso, mind you, is the stronghold of the independent candidate that the Kwekudia won. And that's the first independent candidate, then the known Kwekudia within the Kumawu constituency. And it is believed that some people who are also a representative of some other candidate came here trying to induce people within the Papaso community, that's the Papaso number 1 polling station. And this did not go down well with the supporters of Mr. Kwekudia. And that is when this misunderstanding broke out, which there was the need for the police to step in and calm situations. So as you can see from the Kumawu roundabout through to Papaso and the other routes, everything is very calm. You can see a lot of people seated around there, and these are supporters of the independent candidate, I learned. And they are all here to observe the situation and also try to stop anybody who will come here to, in attempt or with the mind of inducing the electorate here at Papaso. So that's why you can count a number of these policemen, uniformed men, all here. And not too long ago, there was a police patrol vehicle parked just where I'm standing, and they just left this side to down street, all in the name of ensuring that Papaso community itself is very safe. And if there should be any misunderstanding, the police are ready and are here very close to step in and ensure that whatever happens, they bring the calm tensions here within the Papaso community.
Have we heard from any of the candidates so far?
So far through my tour within these communities, I haven't cited any of the candidates. Mind you, 3 of the candidates in this election are from Begro, where we have another. Some of my colleagues also they're trying to cover that area for us. So we are learning that 3 of these candidates will be voting at Begro. So probably some of my colleagues there have cited some of them. In this Papaso, this is where I understand the Kwekudia one includes. But since I came stationed here, I haven't cited him yet. Though I've cited some of his people around. They have a vehicle going around visiting almost all the police stations, and also he has his representatives here seated observing things here at Papaso. So in all of the police stations I've been to, the people that I've seen are representatives of people who are affiliated to these candidates going around and observing things on behalf of the candidate. So I'm yet to cite any of them.
Right. Let's bring in Bwachi Yadom, and Nile Jima, you might want to hold on for us briefly. Bwachi Yadom, you've been to some other polling centres. What can you report?
2 hours to go, roughly 2 hours to the end of polls here for the Kumawu by-election. Well, my observation since we started the polls from 7 a.m. has been that of vote by here in some of the polling stations that we have been to. I have been to Bodomase, Dadiase, Impanta, Setre, and Oyoko, and I can report that at every polling station that I have been to, there is this issue of inducement, where when we got to Bono, it got to the extent where voters were rejecting money being given to them from some agents. According to them, the money that they agreed on was not what was given to them when they met the agents. So they had to reject the money that was being given to them. And even with some of them too, they took the money out of anger. They were saying they could not let the money go. But majority of them rejected the money that was being given to them. So the issue of inducement has been something going on critically here at the Kumawu constituency during this by-election. So we've cited many of them. And the issue of pink sheets being signed by polling agents even before polls began. Normally or ordinarily, we would see polling agents signing these pink sheets after polls. But this time around, polling officers forced these agents to sign the pink sheets before polls even began. So Peter Otukono was raising concerns, the NDC were raising concerns, and that polling station at Oyoko, every electoral process going on there was being put on hold up until the EC boss in the Ashanti region, BO, would visit the place to check his things before they can continue the process. But for Oyoko right now, I can tell you as a matter of fact that the process has been on hold for now because of the allegation of polling officer forcing polling agents to sign the pink sheet before
20 election. During the actual voting, there was not many incidences, but it was during the collation that people were shot and killed and so on. Around in the afternoon, all those who gave verdict about the performance of the police, they had to eat back their words. So we are observing. Let's get a whole picture of the whole election, then we can talk about the security.
Take you back because Ohiming Tewia has some more updates for us. And of course, he's been gathering a lot more on that. But first, let's hear from Nile Jima, who is back with us on Zoom. Nile, what more can you tell us?
So, the allegations of vote buying continue to fly around Kumawu and its environment. Now, there are some youth I spoke to earlier. They've actually pitched camp at one of the polling stations, and their expectation is that one of these aspirants or their representatives will come around and they negotiate their vote before they walk to the various polling stations to cast their ballot. So allegations of vote buying and people who are ready to sell their ballot to some of these aspirants is very, very top among issues being discussed here in the Kumawu constituency. Let me chip in this. You know that we have two people bearing the same name, Kwekudia, in this particular race. That's two of the aspirants. Interestingly, wherever I've been within the Kumawu and Papaso communities, the second Kwekudia who came into the race later, that's the fourth on the ballot sheet, do not have any person representing him here among the representatives of the delegate of the aspirants. You know, by electoral laws, when someone is going into an election, there is need to present a representative in the polling station. But going through the various polling stations, I'm unable to see agents of the second Kwekudia in these polling stations, and many are surprised because if you really want to be a member of parliament, standing an election or going into such a race, such a tough one, there should be someone monitoring the proceedings for this particular aspirant. But unfortunately, no agent for Kwekudia, the second Kwekudia, the fourth on the ballot in these polling stations that I've been to so far.
How about the police? Earlier you were pointing out that they've beefed up security in the area. Do they still have the presence on the ground?
Certainly. When we went off air, or when I was out, I tried counting the number of policemen here at Papaso, and I counted 15 policemen, all uniformed men here at Papaso. Not long ago, the patrol vehicle also came through the streets, went down there, and was also patrolling the area. So when it comes to security, it's at its maximum best here at Papaso. In other polling stations, there's also high security presence, at least 4 policemen at each polling station that I've been to here within Kumawu and Papaso.
Thanks for staying with us here on the Joy News channel. This is The Pulse. We're bringing you that special package on the Kumawu by-election. We'll be heading back into the area. We're taking a short break. When we return, we'll get you some updates. Please stay. We'll take you back to Kumawu. Ohiming Tewe is joining us with more. Ohiming, what can you report from where you are?
Yes, Blessed. It's been a very busy day for the electors in Kumawu constituency as they go to the polls to elect their member of parliament. It follows the death of the incumbent MP for this area, Philip Atta Basua. It's been very busy because some of the residents have had to go to their farms before they come back to the communities to cast their ballot. It's something that is believed to have affected voter turnout. MPP, both the MPP and the NDC do believe that because this is a by-election, and also because perhaps this is also farming community, this may have impact on the voter turnout. But that notwithstanding, some polling stations have had what I would call more than half of the voter population covered. More than half of the voter population registered to cast their ballot in these polling centers have done so. A particular mention can be made of Methodist Primary School at Ananenya, where out of 346 registered voters, 207 had voted. When I visited the polling station about 30 minutes ago, and then at the Anglican Junior High School, which recorded some sort of a clash between the supporters of the independent candidate Kwakudua and the New Patriotic Party, though there are about 436 registered voters. As at the time I visited the polling station, over 200 of the voters had already voted. So, yes, voter turnout is low, but the MPP is very optimistic, as indicated by the National Chairman Stephen Ntim, that they expect more than 50% of voter turnout. But the NDC National Chairman Johnson Esiedun Ketia also do believe that yes, it's a by-election, so you are likely not to see that enthusiasm from the voters taking part in the elections. But definitely he's hopeful that we are likely to get reasonable voter turnout today. Security has also been very tight. In some of the polling centers that I visited, I could count about 6 police officers providing security in those areas. And it's something that the MPP is very, very happy with. The former NPP General Secretary, John Boadu, told me that because of the presence of the police, the political parties feel obliged not to spend on the party security. He talked about the fact that spending or providing party security at voting centers like this is very expensive. You have to gather people, transport them, feed them, and all that. So he was very happy and satisfied that the IGP has lived up to his promise to ensure that police will provide adequate security before, during, and after the Kumawu by-election. On the other hand, the NPP's national chairman, Johnson Esiedun Ketia, wouldn't want to rush to perhaps score police high marks when it comes to security during elections. According to Mr. Esiedun Ketia, normally or usually that has characteristics of a by-election. You don't see violence or mayhem or sort of activities akin to voting pattern being recorded in before 3 p.m. So for him, he expects that if anything will happen, if people will sort of try to circumvent the process, then that could be after 3 p.m. and during a collation. So he wouldn't want to rush in scoring police higher marks in bringing security under control here in Kumawu. So he says it's too early to give his verdict. And for him, generally, he's happy with the turn of events here in Kumawu, just mentioning one or few instances where he thinks that something might have happened, something untoward might have happened, but then it's something that he says the NDC have no control over them. He mentioned, for instance, allegations of vote buying being perpetuated allegedly by NPP supporters. He says once these incidents are being recorded or happening 50 meters away from the polling centers, there's no way one could complain because they are not happening, or they could be, we cannot say they are directly related to the elections. And for that, he will want to keep his head high and also continue to support the National Democratic Congress candidate, Kwesi Amankwa, who had earlier alleged that he saw some supporters of the MPP trying to influence voters, induce them monetarily to vote for the NPP. At Anananya, where Mr. Kwesi Amankwa, raises concerns or allegations of vote buying against the MPP. We were in the community, we spoke to some residents who also refuted the allegations that there has been nothing like vote buying happening in the Anananya community. All that they said was that some of the electors who live outside the constituency were supported. They were seen coming in the bus, and after they had come to cast their ballot, they saw the bus going back. So those who coordinated their movement or their travels saw them, and they had to speak to them. So perhaps that is what could have been described as vote buying by the National Democratic Congress. The Kumawu Mahine, Bema Safo Chenebua Kodua, he also led the traditional authorities, the traditional leaders in the Kumawu constituency to also be part of the voting process. He himself was at the Chief's Palace polling station to cast his ballot, though he wouldn't want to speak to the media immediately after casting his ballot. He says he beckoned on me, journalists, to hold on, if anything at all, probably after the votes have been counted and results declared, he may want to comment on this in the media. So I would say generally it's been peaceful in Kumawu constituency, and voters are trickling in to cast their ballot with some few hours to end voting here in Kumawu. Blessed.
Grateful. Ohimin Teria joining us live from Kumawu, where elections are underway. In just about an hour, polling will close and we'll bring you updates. Bwachi Adam is also there in that community. Bwachi Adam, what can you bring us up to speed with? let's, of course, move on to some of the stories. We'll definitely bring you updates on this happenings within the Kumawu constituency. Bwachi, if you're with us, just bring us up to speed with what's happening. If you can hear me, what's the latest?
Indonesia.
Let's move on to some of the stories. We'll definitely bring you updates on what's happening in the Kumawu constituency in just about 50 or less minutes. Polling will close in that community, and then we'll know the outcome of the by-election.